Microphone. Microphone. It's too far away. We've got to check it. Move it around. Microphone. Microphone. Microphone check. 1 2 1 2. A little bit more. Microphone. There we go. Don't seem to be dropping any frames. Right. I think it's working. I think it's working. Alright, calm down, next song. Calm down. Yeah. Yeah, let's just start. Let's just start, Ripley. Roll the intro and then we'll start doing a thing. We'll start doing a thing. What about me? Should I say something first? Should I be like introduce people before the intro? Or is the intro enough? I should probably do some introductions of things. Okay, here I go. So, welcome to the thing that is going to be. I mean, I was gonna say more stuff. See you pressing the button. I could have said that. That's my voice. Hey, Miles and avocado shakes. All right. Last week, I didn't feel like drawing. I think I still ended up working on my little stop motion guy, who was making me crazy. I was gonna also not do a stream today because I'm like, I should just work on that guy some more, but I just keep starting over again and again and again. And I just don't want to do it anymore. I don't want to do it anymore. I just want to be done. Because I finished his head, I finished his hands, and his hands just turned out awfully. So I peeled all his hands off and then spent literally like a whole day just trying every way possible to get wire out of this little metal connector thing here. But I couldn't. So the only way to do new hands was either order some more of these little connector dealies, and they always seem to come from like England, so that'll take months, and I want to do it now. So I had like one extra one left, and a smaller one inside the old head. So I also wanted to make some changes to the head. So I'm like, well, if I'm going to change one thing, I might as well change all the things. So I changed his neck collar. Made a new head, and just got so far as making the hands out of wire, and then I'll cover those with this moldable glue stuff again, and hopefully it'll just work this time. I'm getting tired of doing it over and over again. But this is the new head that I came up with. This one's copper looking. Put a few little extra little doodads hanging off the side of his head. And his mouth is like a big trap door that opens and closes. There's like a wire in there. And that's how he works. And his eye is a bead that's painted. And then there's like, the hole in the middle of the bead. Hey, Pabs! Greetings to Mexico. And thank you. And whatever. So every time I make these, I put the eye in, mold the thing around it, and then go bake it, and then pop, the eye basically pops in without too much trouble. And this time, I painted them. It was pretty much where I liked them, I guess. I still kind of want to do it again. But then first thing this morning, right before work, I'm like, I'm going to pop the eye in and see how it looks. Now, the paint is on them, and I was like forcing it in. And I might have had to switch to some vice grips to try and squeeze it in. So now his eye's got some like scrapings on it. I don't know if he'll focus. There we go. Can't really tell from this, but on the stop motion camera you will. And anyway, as it finally goes in, I hear like a ting, not a ting, but like a tick, 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 tick of like, a hard piece of clay shooting across the room. And I look at him, and he basically looks fine, but I'm like, oh no, there's like a big white paintbrush hair that I got into the paint, I guess, and I didn't even notice. How did I not notice that? And I'm like, oh, there's one of them. Like, oh no, he's cracked. His whole front face is cracked. So it cracked like this side up to the middle of the top of his nose mouth area, and this side here. So there's just these two big cheek chunks that just broke off. So I super glued those back in. So now there's like a little notch in his face there. But again, part of the thing that I was going for was that he does look still kind of patchwork and old, like just an old droid type thing. And so it still works. It still basically works, but mostly I'm like, I just don't want to do it again. I don't want to do it again. Oh, I hate making things sometimes. I just want to animate things that I've made, but I don't want to make them. And my phone has started doing this thing where it's just like, hey, every few hours, even though you've turned off all of the notifications on your Instagram, we're still gonna make a little Instagram notification sound all the time for no reason. For no reason. We're not gonna show you a notification. There is no new notifications. We're just gonna make a little noise until you go crazy. Until you go crazy and make a little robot man. And then maybe if he's ever finished, you'll do a little stop motion about him going crazy. Maybe. Who knows? So anyway, wasn't quite sure what to draw today, but I was thinking of doing just yet another, like, just a monster doodle that usually I start drawing it, and then halfway through I'm like, maybe he's saying something like this, or maybe something like that, and it's just usually a non sequitur thing. I think the last one, or the second last one that I put on my Instagram was just a big creepy looking monster. And then I put a little sign that said, like, cowboy hat's 50% off. And he's like, oh my god, cowboy hats never go on sale. I should get two. But he's just like a twisted, skeletal monstery thing with a crazy, back that goes up 3 feet higher than his head. And it's just like, why? What are you even doing in a world where you can buy cowboy? It makes no sense. And that's the whole joke. What does that have to do with me? That has nothing to do with me. What about me? I think yeah, what about me? That's all I have to say about that. Tell me about me in the most words possible. And go. I mean, yes, because this is still the main thing about this stream is usually to fill up a page of comic strips about you. Then yes, of course, the thing that the monster will be saying is non sequitur at will be you, and that's how that synergizes all together. That doesn't sound like I have any lines in this. Will I be saying anything? It's just going to be this guy saying something, and I might as well be a cowboy hat sign? Is that what this is? I'm being reduced to a basic cowboy hat sign? No, I mean, I don't know yet. Maybe you will. Just maybe I'll put up another, have you hold a sign that just says cowboy hats still on sale. And it's going to be an ongoing nonsense that is different monsters buying cowboy hats. And this particular one, you will be holding the cowboy hat sign. But I did start doodling this before the stream, so it is looking like it's going to be some sort of, I don't know, maybe a fish monster. Everything tends to kind of turn into a bit of a fish monster the more I start adding weird lines and stuff. And then I always just go, why not put some weird little gills on them? Like I've just done. In describing it, it happened. That's sometimes that just happens. But yeah, he's already got an ice cream cone, so I assume it's probably going to be something related to an ice cream cone. And then we play the game of what kind of legs is the monster going to have? And of course, still don't know if this is what his head is going to look like or his whole body. That's the fun of the monster doodles. Is I usually just keep scribbling stuff and seeing what I like. Like I kind of want to give him octopus legs, but I feel like I do that all the time. But I feel like I've already started. But as far as drawing in blue, as far as I know, as near as I can tell, my reason, and I think it's most people's reasons, is back in the day when you would draw for animation or even illustration, you would do your light sketch in a non-repro blue, a blue pencil that when you ran it through a photocopier, it would get rid of the blue and you would just have the clean line that you drew over top of it with your markers or whatever. Or when you filmed your animation. So it mainly comes from that, and then sometimes you would do like your actions or a secondary kind of pose within your frame or within a storyboard, and then you would use red to show the difference between that, because then people just started cleaning it up on cells and whatnot later on. So a lot of those blue lines didn't matter, but yeah, I think that's just the only reason is like on old like the comic book pages, when you get comic book page templates, it'll have like your bleed area, your print area, and whatever, like all the stuff marked off as to where you should do your drawing, and all of the guides are in blue, so that basically it's just supposed to be a color that like photocopiers don't pick up. But I don't know. Ever since I started using blue, other than in animation school where we had like some pretty old timey cameras that were like they barely picked up anything, like you had to go over everything like 16 times to make it dark enough. But yeah, eventually everybody just used scanners and whatnot, so you pretty much just have to do it on a clean sheet of paper. And that's the other thing, like in digital animation, um, we were at a point where like pretty much however something was broken down, we would just separate everything into different colors as best we could, or some people would where either a whole character would be different colors like Miles does, or if a hand or an arm say is drawn a certain way and then the lower arm is just copy and pasted reused, then this would just be like blue blue blue, and this is like red red red, so you can see which one is different, or just to have it pop out easier for the cleanup department or whoever the next person dealing with your artwork is. Ooh, good question. No, he's basically a human-sized monster. Would he have a belly button? He would not, but he does because they're funny. Um, Speaking of amazing animation, I finally watched Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Seven Rings, or and the Seven Rings, and oh my god, it was the best. It was so good. It was so good. And again, whenever I try to praise a movie that I've finally forced myself to sit down and watch without drawing pictures and ignoring it, or playing on my phone the whole time, um, without spoiling anything, and just straight up praising things, so good. Like, all of the fights were just great. Were just great. Like, just they were filmed well, and they did super cool stuff. All of the characters, like every single character, was fantastic. Like, there's always a character in a movie where you're like, could have done without that character, and I would have enjoyed it more. This one, everybody just basically fit and or was just believable enough that it's like, yeah, of course you would be here. Why wouldn't you be here? Um, but the oddest favorite character, if I want to call it that, from the movie, um, is Shang-Chi's dad. I can't remember his name, or any of his comic book villain names that he mentions within the movie that he used to be. But he was like so believable, like so believable. Like through the whole thing, I'm just like, I hope this guy gets redeemed. Like he's definitely like, he's just trying to be the best, whatever. And it's just like he's still an evil guy for like 90% of this movie, but there's just a few moments that are like, oh man, this guy's just. Oh, and I have to just give all of the magic to the actor that portrayed it. It's just all within his eyes and his subtle looks. Where I'm just like, I don't know. I'm not even sure now. Are they keeping that lady captive behind the door, or is it a trap? I kind of want him to be right now. I kind of want him to be right. Like, and I was just very surprised how much I liked so many of the characters. Again, like Shang-Chi himself from minute one is awesome. Like, I liked, the way he delivered his dialogue, and how he and Aquafina got together. Um, and I can't remember the last time Aquafina was in a movie where I was like, is this the greatest character ever? But I'm pretty sure she was basically that exact same character in this movie. And I was like, whatever that character was, still that character, still the best character. So much fun. So much fun. And again, it's still that Marvel thing where it's just like, a bunch of people totally just died. You had a hand in some of those murders, and you guys are still just like, so anyway, on to the next thing. Like, hey, remember that funny thing? Like, memories are hilarious. Like, you guys should be severely traumatized right now. Severely traumatized. But, whatever. The world ends every few months in the Marvel Universe, so yeah, you get over that stuff fast when everybody disappeared for 5 years. Um, but again, this is the closest thing to a spoiler is Trevor. I won't even say who if you don't remember who Trevor is, just not to ruin it. But man, oh man, Trevor, awesome character. When he popped up, I was just like, I think this might start getting stupid now. And although technically it got stupid in the greatest way possible. And Trevor and Morris, just brilliant. 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 It's both the silliest part, but still epic and fun. And I'm like, all right, well, if this is one of the other parts that I technically should hate, like this is the Ewoks of the movie, and I think they're great, I think this movie might just end up being great all the way to the end. And it did. And it did. Everybody that was on screen was awesome at being on screen. There was, of course, like two or three scenes that were just overtly just exposition that I'm just like, this is technically information we don't even actually really need to know. And just started noticing it more and more in movies when a character just does that whole, um, and it's all because of watching CinemaSins, of course. But when a character just very specifically is like, "Oh, Sean, like we've known each other for 10 years. Remember how you graduated from things and you're smart and I'm super good at math? Like, remember that? Anyway, on to the actual story, and it just becomes so jarring after a while once you notice it. And there's like that part, and then they're hanging out with this other friends of theirs that are like, "Oh, you guys, like you have so much potential, like this thing and that thing," and like I wouldn't hang out with you guys anymore. I wouldn't hang. If this is what you said to me all the time, I would be avoiding these meals all the time. And how could you not want a Morris avocado shakes? That's right, Voxney, the Mr. Cartoons. The one and only who manages his best to not be super overtly mean to trolls while I'm on my work stream. Not that I really do it the few times some have shown up here, but part of me wishes I was slightly nicer, but part of me was like, I like that I kind of sidestepped that by talking about them and not to them, while they kept saying things. Um, but yeah, I did another Streamlabs stream last week, and well, one guy was just a straight up troll. It's just like, you don't matter. You're not a real person. You might as well be a robot. Um, and but mostly it's like I'm at work, so it's like I have to, be presentable at all times, kind of thing. I don't want to be seen as, how Radio Shack Twitter is nowadays, where it's like, this is awesome. You guys are just going crazy, but it's just crypto guys that like bought Radio Shack and they're just tweeting like maniacs or whatever. Um, but yeah, this one guy, out of just before I even had anything on the screen, basically was just like, oh, like my 9 year old cousin draws better than you. Like, okay, great. And I just immediately went to like, that's fine. Like, I am still like, out of all of the things that happened today, that's still the last thing I'm going to think about at the end of the day, and it will still hurt. It doesn't matter. I still know that I'm better than that, and I get to do this for a living. And like, congratulations. Go watch your 9 year old's nephew. Then, like, why would you take the time to do this? And I'm sure within minutes, Eric or Sarah, whoever was keeping an eye on me, um, from the Streamlabs, I don't know, war room, uh, control center, and they blocked him pretty quick, I believe. While I'm sure I was still talking about them. So that one was still just like, it doesn't matter. Like, again, you're just one of those people that, like, I go into a room, I say something mean just to see, like when you run into a pile of pigeons and raise your arms up. Like, I just want to see them scatter. Some men just want to watch. Nope, that's not the voice. Some men just want to. Nope, can't do it. Some men just want to watch the world burn. Um, but the one that drove me kind of crazy because it was just like, are you a robot? Like, I feel like you're a robot because nobody's this vapid. But people are pretty vapid. But yeah, one guy comes in and just the first thing he said was, "Hey, this company's better than your company," with like 1,000 greater than arrows, and I'm like, so anyway, and then they started saying more things like, "Hey, I'm from this country or whatever." Like, "Hey, do you speak this language?" And I just kept ignoring them, and instead I was like, "Guys, here's some just dumb, fun life advice that everybody should have." Um, say you go into like a restaurant or whatever, and the first thing you do is like, "Hey, you know what I hate about this restaurant is that it's not this other restaurant. This one's way better. Anyway, give me some service. Treat me like I belong here, please and thank you, I guess. If you deserve to please and thank you. If you treat somebody like that right away, then the people that work there are going to do their best to avoid you because you're just, a vortex of ruining their day. You're just anguish and whatever. And it's just like, you came in here and it's just like, first impressions and whatnot. And you just decided, yep, my first impression is you're garbage. And how are you today? Treat me like a good person. And if you do that, people will probably do their best to ignore you, uh, regardless of where you think you are and how much you deserve some attention. You can keep saying, "Hey, I still want my order. No one's paying attention to me," and they'll just ignore you. And sometimes you won't even realize that's what's happening. Well, but whatever. I was like, I'm just talking about, this is just like restaurants and whatnot. This has nothing to do with how to behave in a chat room. So anyway, and then I just went back to whatever I was talking about, and I believe Voxney and a few other people were just like, ha ha ha, like, I see what's happening here. You're a clever old man. And um and then again, they still just kept saying that, like, hey, like, do you speak this language? Like, what kind of whatever? Like, you're not getting any more of my attention. It would be somewhat fun, just cleverly use a bunch of words to destroy you, but I also don't want to spend all of my time on the internet destroying people. Once the stream is over, once whatever it is you've been doing is over, then you still have to carry, your wins in your head. And if your wins are just a bunch of meannesses that you've put out there, then it's just like, well, now I'm wallowing in a bunch of meanness points. Yeah, so I mean, what's wrong with that? I mean, everything that I do runs on meanness points. So I get up in the morning and I'm like, oh hey, don't forget, you're stupid and I hate you. Give me some food. Give me some food. P.S. I'm gonna poop in your shoe because that's my thing. Remember when that used to be my thing? I was always pooping in shoes. And then I'd make little videos about how I pooped in your shoe because of that time that I pooped in your shoe. Oh, good times. I mean, yes and no. Technically, that was vertigo. I don't think you ever actually pooped in any shoes. You used to just poop on the floor in the most obvious place, just to say, "Hey, guess what? I'm angry with everyone today. Here's my poop on the floor." Oh yeah, classic me. Classic me, the old floor poop. Hey, right next to the toilet, so that when you're trying to poop and you're like, oh, I really gotta poop, but now I have to clean up a poop, so now I have to hold in my poop, and it's just making me more angry, which makes it more difficult to clean up the poop, and then I don't enjoy my poop afterwards, because all I can think about is the fact that there was a poop on the floor, there was a poop on the floor, and, so I win, and then I walk away with a big old bag of meanness points. And I mean, so, why don't you just start collecting up those meanness points and then you use them to fuel your energy to perform more mean things. I mean, it's a very simple equation. Super simple. It's not that it's not a simple equation. It's just a mean system, regardless. Oh, and like a million Republicans are wrong. Is that what you're saying? That's how they run things. They just run a whole country and or somehow Canada as well with a whatever our Republican version of things is. It's just a bunch of people running on meanness points. So I mean, if the government's doing it, then I think I'm gonna get myself a dapper little hat, as I do, a delightful mug of none of your business, and then I'm gonna go be mean to people by you know, getting them to ask me questions so I could say, oh, by the way, that's none of your business. Just to irritate people. Just look interesting until they want to ask me about what's going on so I could go, oh, wouldn't you like to know? And then disappear into the shadows. That does sound fun. That does sound fun. Oh, yeah. Hairballs and cat puke. Um, always, 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 always are targeted towards any sort of rug or carpeting. No matter where they are, it's still a slow blah blah. I'm gonna puke, and it's just like you can hear them or see them moving. Like, what are you doing? And you pick them up and you turn them around, like go that way and puke, and they just like slowly veer back over towards the carpet, where it's like this can only be malicious. I mean, we've lived together for however long, every once in a while I'll say something and you clearly understand me and do what I say, and then other times you're like, hey, you know what? Not feeling too good. This definitely belongs on the carpet because I don't know what's going on in my weird cat brain, but I have decided that it's probably easier to clean it up off of a carpet than it is off of the floor where I've clearly seen it get wiped up easily, and or they're just like, hey, the more time you're thinking about me, the more time I'm in your life. Yeah, exactly. It's like, you want to get somebody a really good, birthday card or a Christmas card, like whatever the card is. It's not really like, hey, here's the card and I don't care. It's more like, if you read this card again and again, if I make you cry with this card that I've gotten inside your brain, I've fed gollied you. I'm like one of those alien face huggers that jump out and grab you by the face and are just like, hey, let me just shove a little bit of, my essence into your head through the beads of good deeds, and or through a card that's just blatantly mean, so that I'm stuck in your head. So I'm stuck in your head. What's that saying? I'm gonna live free inside of your head. I don't have any rent to pay, so that's the only way that I'm gonna run this system, Mister. So anyway, that was usually the GM as well, especially in the small apartment where it was like the bathroom's right there and everything is carpeted basically except for the bathroom and a little bit of kitchen. It was just like, oh, grab them and chuck them in the bathroom or just chuck them in the living room while screaming, please don't, please don't, please don't. Why do you always do this? Please don't. Also, hey Kujin, did I already say that? I think I was, or well, Milo was busy saying things. Oh yeah, I mean, if you're good at throwing up, um, then it's definitely time to go get some more food after that. Like most times, if you throw up, you're just like, the idea of food, no. No, I won't be thinking about that for at least several days. But with cats, it's just such a like, hey, oh, just getting rid of that. Now I'm good to go. Just like, when you're like 22 and you're like, oh my god, I got so drunk, but I can still handle it because I'm 22. Oh my god, what would be awesome? A big pile of French fries and pizza. Like, but I'm so full of booze and I'm gonna be sick. And then you do get sick, and instead of just being like, oh my god, I just want to go home and go to sleep forever, you're like, you know what? Now I have room for French fries and pizza and also drinking more because I'm 21. Whereas now I'm at exactly that age where I'm like, oh my god, I guess I'll maybe almost finish this drink and then leave the rest in the fridge for 2 years. I think 2 years it's been sitting there. Maybe I did finally throw it out. And I just realized. Whoa. Wearing my wrong headphones and forgot to put some music back on. Speaking of animation, I finally watched the Bob's Burgers movie. Instead of watching it for some reason, I was like, I'm just gonna watch a bunch of episodes of Bob's Burgers since they're here. And they're, of course, always super fun. And I'm like, all right, let's watch the movie itself. And part of me was just like, I just don't have any. It's not that I don't have high hopes for it. I just didn't have any hopes for it. It was like, I just can't really see what it's gonna be. Like, like I felt the same way about the Simpsons movie when that came out. I was like, I don't have really any expectations. Hopefully, there's something epic about it that makes it feel like a big screen movie. And I feel like The Simpsons did. Like, it was still, it still had, more or less a normal episode premise. But it was everything about it was a little more epic and exalted. The animation was, just better and more interesting to look at. And it's one that I've rewatched quite a few times, and I'll definitely rewatch it again. The Bob's Burgers movie was fine. It looked good. It wasn't like, wow, we did something crazy, like that the animation is just like cranked up on the quality. If anything, it just seemed too smooth. It was just smoother. So it just felt like it was a lot more, I don't know, CG a bit, just felt fluid. To the point, like mechanically fluid, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Which again isn't bad. I'm fine with it. It didn't look bad by any means. Just wasn't anything more to it. There wasn't anything less to it. It was just kind of like, okay, you're drawing this or filming this or doing whatever, rendering it at like 60 frames a second or something. Just unnecessary. And then story-wise, like, when it did get to the end, I genuinely, honestly, was just like already waiting for another episode to start playing. Like, it didn't feel like I just watched a movie. It felt like, oh, like that was a pretty fun episode. It had like a lot of good characters in it. There was a lot to it. It felt like just a two-parter. I don't even know how long it was, but it really only felt like maybe an hour. So at least it didn't feel slow and drag on. But I think if you didn't already watch Bob's Burgers, if you weren't like, ooh, a Bob's Burgers movie, I watch Bob's Burgers. If you were just watching it, I feel like you'd be like, okay, that was like, what if a movie or a sitcom was a movie or something? And have any other news that's not watching TV? Oh yeah. Well, in not watching movie news, I started to watch The Eternals. Maybe I'll finish it. I can't remember if that one is marked as like the worst one after Morbius or before Morbius. I didn't see Morbius. Morbius, I think, looks like it might be more interesting than the Eternals. Like, the effects were great. It's still a Marvel movie. It's still done well. They still work animators to death to make sure everything's exactly as they want it. And a lot of animators are not happy about that. It's very abusive. But yeah, story-wise, I don't even know how long. I think I might have been like 20 minutes into it, and I was still just like, I don't care about any of these characters. Like, has anybody even said anything? Like, there's just a few little bits of information. It's just like, how has so much time passed and nothing has happened? There's been a few like monsters, a few little fights that again are just like, you're just kind of using lasers or whatever, like out of your hands and or eyes, and I still don't understand. I don't know, like what. I get it that the monsters are coming back. You're gonna have to go through all this stuff again, and fight stuff, and now they're more powerful or whatever. But beyond that, clearly Angelina Jolie has some other ulterior motive, or maybe she's on the side of the bad guys. I don't. And it was just like, I just don't care. I just don't care. Just start the movie. Just start the movie. And it's like, all right, well, let's go back in time and see how it was 1,000 years ago. Like, okay, I'm fine with this. But then it's like, yeah, didn't you just say this like a minute ago? And now you're just showing it to us slowly? Like, we still have to get back to the future. You still, guys have to start getting back together again. And, I just felt too bored to wait for any more information. And again, when I say bored, I don't mean like, there should have been some more action scenes. There should have been some more fights or some more CGI. There was peppered with fights and CGI. I was very surprised at that. I thought it would definitely just be a whole lot of talking for the longest time. And then they're like, okay, now we'll reveal we're the Eternals. But it's like, no, we're going to start Eternaling right away. And it's just not going to be interesting. They seem to be ultra powerful to the point where it is like, why is anything going to be an issue for you guys? And if this is going to be a Thor 1 where it's like, by the way, you got to lose all your powers and then to earn your powers, but like, stop it. Stop it. There's already a million other movies where people don't have powers. Stop bringing me to a movie about having powers and then getting rid of the powers. I already know what it's like for non-powered people to exist. But mostly I was like, well, Kumail will suck me in. His character will make me wanna see more, and he just barely said. He did, he had like 2 lines, and one of them was like in old Tommy times, and he was just like, "Hey, come on, man! Like, what? Why do you talk like that? This is weird." But anyway, I don't know. I'm sure it gets better. I'm sure it's interesting and or fun. But Shang-Chi, I was in right away. Right away. It was like every minute that passed, I was like, yeah. Show me some more. What's that about? Who was that guy? More directions by Morris, please. But speaking of the old people are horrible news, is it about me? Are you talking about me again? Cause I mean, I don't want to toot my own horn over here, but sometimes I can be pretty horrible, in my own right. So feel free to shower me with the accolades of my misdeeds, which I also call achievements. So achievement unlocked. Awesome at being terrible, like the Wolverine. Yeah, I guess. But no. I was at the laundromat where all stories seem to take place. Stories about horrible people. And, The laundromat man usually puts on the news at around 5:30ish or something. When my laundry's almost done. No, at around 6 o'clock. I think he puts some Entertainment Tonight on before that. And I spend, a good 10 minutes leaving and sitting in my own car because, wow, I can't believe Entertainment Tonight is still a show. Most of the time, they're just reporting, hey, I was looking at a famous person's Instagram today. Pretty cool. They posted I get paid lots of money. I looked at the same posts you looked at today. Anyway, Pepsi is supporting a thing. Let's look at that. And then the news is always on. And I already just, I realized I definitely have some sort of just phobia or just nausea, just anxiety about being in a room with people while news is playing. Or when and while somebody is just going, hey, blah, blah, blah. Here are my thoughts on politics, by the way. Like, oh, geez. Because sometimes, a lot of times, you can just be like, hey, so that's pretty crazy that all the crazy stuff happened. Like, I know, right? Pretty crazy. I hope people start behaving more nicer to people like me as well. And that should be all we really need, and there should be less of the people that are like, I would like to choke out most of society, and I think that I have the right to do such a thing. Like, no, you don't. And there's just too many of those people that are just like, by the way, obviously we all agree on stuff, right? Like, no, almost never. Laundromat people, almost never. So the news is playing. I don't remember when this is. Maybe this was like 2 weeks ago now, a week and a half ago. And it's a story about a lady I'm gonna go with the minimum amount of detail so as to not be gross. But basically, lady took a guy to court because he lied and took advantage of her. That's the long and the short of it. It doesn't matter what it was. It doesn't matter. If you do that to somebody, you shouldn't be doing that to somebody. So it was just one of those things where it's just like, well, I can't get any retribution in the real world. So I guess court is where we're gonna have to go. So the news was reporting this and how it was accepted that a woman reporting that she was hey, don't forget to like and follow the stream. Orders from Kujin. So whatever, it was just like, in my head, I was already, in real life, I was already folding my laundry. In my head, I was not paying attention to the news, trying to ignore everything, because there is two old men in the laundromat, and it's just like, it's only a matter of time. It's only a matter of time. So, not only does the one old man that's kind of watching the news get started. He's getting started in here, and he's like on the other side of the laundromat. There's nobody over there, so feel free to talk amongst yourself, angry old man who clearly hates women. He starts by muttering, yep, come up with anything to complain about, they will. Anything at all, and they're complaining about it. Like, this lady isn't complaining. This lady is like, she was, basically assaulted. Like, she was abused, and that's not cool. All right, and I just can't believe I'm in a room where somebody is taking the other side of this story, and my brain is broken. But I also like I said, I wasn't fully paying attention. But the bit that I did pay attention to seemed pretty cut and dry. Don't take advantage of me, or else you go to court. The same as, don't steal from my lawn. You're gonna end up in court, especially if I see you doing it while you're specifically saying, I'm not gonna steal stuff off your lawn. I can see you doing it, like, nope. Well, there has to be something I can do about this. And you finally stand up for yourself. So he walks over to stand next to me and closer to the laundromat man who runs the laundromat. And continues with, yep, they'll come up with anything, like it's all they love. They love to complain. And I was like, well, now you're in my space, so now we're having a conversation. So I tell him, like, no, that's not complaining. That's if you lie and take advantage of somebody long enough, they're eventually going to hopefully stand up for themselves and be treated like a person. And he somehow heard that as, yeah, they better learn to shut their mouths or else, the men are going to stand up and not take this anymore. Because he was like, yeah, exactly. Like, we don't need to hear this or whatever. Like, you clearly didn't hear what I just said. And I'm just like, oh, fold faster, fold faster, fold faster. And I think there was some more stuff in the dryer still waiting. So I'm like, I can't just grab my wet clothes and leave. And he's still there. He's like, 'cause I know what that's all about. Like, just ask me. I know what it's all about. Like, in my head, like, you know what it's like to have people talk to you about their problems? And then you're a jerk about it, I guess? But, some things I know enough not to say out loud. So he's like, yeah, like, I go through that all the time at my job. I'm over there, I'm trying to do my job, you're trying to, mind my own business, and then they'll come over and they just always have something, like, what about this, what about that to complain about? I'm over here, I'm trying to repair airplanes. And, and they're the way they are or whatever, just like, does no man ever complain to you about stuff? But that's not what I said. I said, and Semi immediately regretted it. Be careful, Kujin, be careful. I said, in as sarcastic a voice as I possibly can. Did you use my voice? I think it would work better if you used my voice. If you really need to get, sardonic on somebody, you should probably just switch over to my voice, and they'll be like, what is happening right now? That's the most sarcastic tone ever, because I think I've perfected it, and when I think, I know I've perfected it, and you look fantastic today. You're awful. So I said in my most sarcastic voice, yeah, I wonder what that's like to have somebody complain about something, and I don't think I said innocuous, complain about something nonsensical while you're trying to get something done. And then, like, as obvious as I could, like, look back down at my laundry. But, I'm wearing a mask, so, only so much of my facial expressionage is going to be coming across. And also, this guy is listening to his own soundtrack to his life in his own head, so any of the words that come out of my mouth, it doesn't matter, because all he's just thinking is, women are dumb and I hate women. I'm married and I love women, but I hate them and they need to be punished because they're always complaining when I'm fixing airplanes. Don't they realize how important airplanes are? No, they don't. Why do we let them drive a car? 'Cause I'm a dude and I know how to do it better. And so I assume that's the soundtrack inside this guy's head. Because his reaction to me being a jerk to him, and trying to point out that he's complaining, but he's an idiot, was still, Oh, that's when he said like, well, like listen to me because I do know. Like, no, I know as well because it's happening to me right now. I'm listening to a horrible person complain about something because they're at, but you know, I just stopped, folded my laundry, and was physically angry for a couple hours. Like nearly until I went to sleep, I think. I was just like, I should have been meaner to him. I should have at least been more clear when he said like, well, no, but I know. And I should have said, no, you don't know. Because I was just pointing out how I should have very explicitly explained to him, no, you're a trash monster and you're spilling trash on me while I'm trying to get something done. Because folding my laundry, in some respects, is as important as fixing an airplane. You know, at least while you're at the laundromat doing laundry, then it's that important. Not as important while you're at the air hangar fixing airplanes, then that's a little more important. But either way, I do understand what it means to feel the plight of other humans. Ruining something as simple as folding laundry. So then, I believe I left the laundromat, and to cheer myself up, I drove right to the Walmart to see, hey, what are the odds maybe some new He-Mans have been added to this shelf. Even though the shelf has been completely obliterated and replaced with Buzz Lightyear stuff, there's still a chance that a few more of the newer lines of He-Mans will trickle in, and if there is one, then I'll get it, and that'll make me feel better in some way. But they didn't. So I think that what I did was went and got something cheese-based, perhaps a cheesed burger, or pizza or something like that, which only makes me feel worse, and it definitely did. But I can't blame that guy, of course, because, you know, I know better. And a correction from the last stream. I want to give him some big spines of some kind, but... I should have looked this up. The last week when I went on my little Subway rant about how not the avocado part, but the green goddess sandwich, and how that's a He-Man character. I'm still pretty sure if I looked it up, the character was also known as the Green Goddess. Maybe I'm wrong. But I do know that the Origins figure is called the Eternian Goddess. I know because she came in a box full of He-Mans that I ordered. Because I'm a psychopath. Ordered these a little while ago. It is 100% just the Tila mold painted green. I am 100% positive that I've seen her labeled as the Green Goddess. Very weird. The female characters compared to the male characters are so wildly different. Like, just... I don't know, there's just so much not as much to them. Just seem more, I don't know, frail and weak, if you will. But yeah, Stinkor. Picked up Stinkor. He doesn't really smell. When I first pulled him out of the box, there was some smell, which I'm kind of glad he doesn't smell super strong. I didn't like the original Stinkor smell. It was that like weird stink bomb smell. And I'm happy that I'm both disappointed that the stink has already dissipated after a few days. But I'm also very glad that it doesn't emit some disgusting smell. Can't get it to turn back the right color. And since... yeah, the Sorceress. Might as well get the Sorceress. Huh? Wings fold down. Focus, focus, focus. This doesn't have enough features to focus on. Man-at-Arms? No. But they did have still the Eternian Guard, which... has two heads. It has the Man-at-Arms no mustache head, and it has one that has like a mouth guard on it. And I can technically take off half of his armor and turn him into no mustache Man-at-Arms, which I guess I will do. But I kind of like, you know, I like that he has all of the armor. And then lastly, Jitsu with his big golden karate hand. I think that him and I was gonna say Punchior, Fisto, I believe they had spring-loaded hands in the old ones. But I always thought this guy looked super cool. I was always jealous of anybody that had him. I don't know what it is about this big metal hand, but I think it looks cool. And he has this fun red armor. And that's the toys I've bought in the last few weeks. And nobody asked. Not one person in the whole world asked to see the rundown of the He-Man toys you bought that you're going to later put on yourself and possibly animate someday, but, you know, you're never going to animate anything until you finish that robot guy. I'll animate something before I finish the robot guy and or after. Don't you worry. Don't you worry your stupid little head. But mild Stinkor is definitely the way to go. Robot guy update, robot guy update. Maybe you're too late for robot guy update, but that's the thing about interactive shows is you can see stuff later cause the host knows what's happening in the chat. Just gonna make this little floopy thing first. Yeah, robot update was, I got rid of his old head, made a new head. His hands turned out terribly, so I tore those off. Made some new wire hands, so his hands still need to be recovered again. And had some issues with his head. That broke to pieces, glued that back together this morning. Someday I'll animate one of these things. But yeah, he looks like this now. We'll focus. A copper head. Like copper rings around his neck. And this eye is very tight. I can only move it with an Allen key. But it does look around. But yeah, I managed to wreck him in about 1,000 different ways in an effort to try to fix him. And then still wrecked in a few ways. But he'll still be good enough to make a weird little short with. Eventually. But yeah, at least like the intention was still to have him kind of a patchworky, like beat up robot, so it gives me a little bit of extra leeway to make mistakes. And it's like he's supposed to look like he's kind of broken. But because of the way I don't know how to do anything, takes so many tries. I just end up spending so much time just looking at it, just not working on it, and just thinking like, oh, but if I do this, and then I'll think like, oh, now thank God I didn't start doing that, because I just realized a more correcter way to do it. And then I just end up not working on anything. What was I saying? Oh, and then the other thing I did for the last while was just binge watch What We Do in the Shadows, which is just amazing. It's just so good. Just like every show that's amazing. Oh, when it gets to the last episode and it doesn't say, oh, you're ready to play the next episode? Oh, it hurts so much. I mean, it just seems like, why can't I just get it right the first time? Just because I've never done this before and I don't know what I'm doing, and I refuse to look up more detailed instructions on how to do it because I want to make up my own way? Why wouldn't that just work the first time? Like, sometimes I feel like the universe should be like, oh, whoa, 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 hey, sorry. I didn't realize you were a genius and you had a brilliant idea. Here you go. Feel amazing. First try. But instead, the universe is all like, whoa, la-ti-da, look who thinks he's cock of the walk over here. Well, you're cock of nothing, I'll tell you that. Mr. Burns reference. And, and it just It just throws a big bucket of mystery liquid in your face, and you're like, oh god! Should I think about what that mystery liquid was? And the universe is like, I wouldn't. And you're like, oh god. I guess I'll just go get a shower and wash away any of the thoughts I had of being creative today. And the universe is like, that'll do, pig. That'll do. And then I'm like, come on now, universe, Oliver Cromwell? I don't think that's his name. Something Cromwell. Don't call me a pig. And then I'm all like, oh, now I have to do it. I'll show you, universe. I'll show you, nobody who said I can't do this. I will do it. And that's how we come back around to everything I do it based on spice. There's no project I can't get angry for. There's no adorable, cute illustration that I won't spite you with once more. You know it's true. Everything I do it despite. I mean, you would be the rhyme, but somebody out there is being spited by everything that I do. I mean, that's why I exist, right? So I'm here so that you could be spiteful towards things, then walk away like Mr. Teflon Man. Like, oh, it wasn't me. It was my cat that was mean about Chris Pratt. Curtis thinks Chris Pratt is the greatest hilarious person from Parks and Recreation ever. And, you know, whatever he does with his free time, that's his business. But if my cat happens to make fun of him, then, you know, scot-free. Like Scott of the Free People. No, actually, your existence is to spice you. Really. It just, you know, you exist purely to make fun of a cat that would never have watched any of the cartoons that I made about him, or listened to me do a voice about him as he walked out of the room, and we just made fun of how much he's a jerk, and then yeah, it just evolved into you re-existing somehow. The spice. I guess that's, you know, that's what you gotta be careful of these things. Whatever programming you do use to motivate yourself, sometimes it works, and you might Skynet yourself into a spite being that, you know, becomes aware. Cheers, Kujin. Have a good night or day. Thanks for hanging out. On two separate channels, it's Kujin Art. But yeah, I built up so much spite that it became a whole separate character. And I don't know, I guess that's the end of that. He exists for 2 hours a week. This music is too slow and depressing, and you know, it makes you want to start messing with more random details, making little dots while you wax through your thoughts. Probably enough dumb lines. Probably come up with some words this time. I can hear the neighbors with their engines on. Wish they'd go already. Start your car and be gone. It's not the winter. You don't need to defrost the windows. If you started your car, drive away and don't shine your lights in my bedroom. I don't like that. Nobody likes that. It goes without saying. Not very poignant. I can hear them yelling now. Oh my. The funny / odd thing is there's another building just right next door here that's like more like a house that I think usually just gets rented out by like one person. Or one family, I should say. And the last two families were both like, hey, I'm gonna put this old car on the back lawn, and I don't know, every second night or so, I'm just gonna go out at whatever random time, and I'm gonna bang on the engine, I'm gonna slam the door open and closed, and I'm gonna rev the engine super, super loud, because, you know, I guess I think that I know how to fix cars, but I have no courtesy, and I will do it at 12 o'clock at night. And yes, I know about courtesy, because I am Curtis C. There was really no need to say that. That was uncalled for, and sounded fairly nonsensical. Hey guys, are you guys talking about courtesy? And being polite to others? You know, when you're really rocking out on the waves, you've got to be mindful of everybody around you. It's not the shore ocean. You don't want to hit a dolphin or some other surfer. Guys, surfing. Guys? I mean, you're always a good voice of reason, Ted. I do appreciate you. But my God, I wish you would talk about something other than surfing for once. Like, for once, is there anything else you can ever talk about besides surfing? Because it's gotten super old. It's gotten super old. But I mean, you know, the point you made a good point though. You're still a good painting of a cat on the wall. And you're always, you know, you're not malicious. So I for me, to take the only thing in this room that's not being a jerk, and then to be like, hey, I'm just like one of those Twitch trolls. They're just gonna tell you not to do the thing that you do. How could I do that, bro? How could you do that? Surfing is my life. It's what gives me my energy and my nice sheen, the salt water and my fur. Oh, bros, you gotta come surfing sometime. Let's go surfing on a surf safari, bros. That's what it is. I don't want to go surfing. I'm fine with you surfing. Go nuts about the surfing. Even talk about surfing, honestly. I don't know anything about it. Feel free to teach me things. But no. There's too many shark sightings nowadays. In the land that I grew up, being told there's no sharks here. You don't have to worry about that, but they're everywhere. And as much as they're still just puppies of the sea, they're only going to attack if they feel like you're encroaching on them. But I still don't want to take that chance. And regardless, the waves themselves are just as afraid. The waves are just as afraid of you as you are of them. No. The waves are just as terrifying as the creatures that might be in the water. So, you know, Stay alert, stay safe. Bert and Gert. Bert and Gert. They're bunnies. They used to teach us about staying alert and staying safe when we were children. That used to be our playground. They used to be the place that we ran to whenever we were in need. The television is what I'm, of course, talking about. Bros, I'm also super into like DeLoreans, and though I don't have the, figurely dexterity to refurbish my own DeLorean car, I enjoy watching YouTube videos about people who refurbish DeLoreans. Some of them even go through the trouble of adding, the Doc Brown extensions to make it look like a time machine. Bros, it's just cool. So we could talk about that at any point in time, bros. Guys, surfing, time machines, it's all cool, guys. It's all cool with me. Cars are kind of, I don't know. That's not something that I want to talk about. But again, I don't want to rain on your parade, Ted. But yeah, I mean, at least it's a novelty car. I can get into novelty cars, but once you talk about rebuilding a real car, I'm out. I'm out. And that's a no from me. That's a no from me. American Idol. I kind of want to hear more about a cat's perspective of DeLoreans. That's what I want. So, I think that does sound interesting. Does anybody want to hear my opinion on novelty cars? Because I have had a series of novelty cars through my entire career, and each one is better and or worse than the last in a different way, and some of them are like tanks. All right, calm down, Batman. It's too hot and dry for your voice, and now everything hurts. So gonna do a little palate cleanser with my little tirade here, which is you need to be replaced. You absolutely need to be replaced. You're too difficult. No offense, but you're too difficult. I think you meant to put it on my screen, but you hit this one by accident. Yeah, here I am. I am always back. I am returning like the Batman Returns. Alright, guys. Yes, when I get a chance, you will be replaced with Skeletor. Much easier voice. Much funner voice to do. Make this a little brighter. There we go. Adding shadows and trying not to fall asleep to this dreamy beat meant for lullabies and babies. Keep feeling like it's about to end, but then it doesn't end. But thanks to my Streamlabs, Pretzel Rocks widget or app, it pops out and I can hit the next button. Lève-toi, and I hit pause by accident. But that does sound like the beginning of that song. I mean, the sound effect that song starts with. Unnecessary shading. Unnecessary color grading. Doesn't need to be here. The lines do the job, but I feel like it needs some more. Did I mention? I think I just talked about this on my work stream. But I've mentioned Drew Gooden before, a YouTube guy that, I don't know, usually just kind of reviews the rest of the internet, sometimes Christmas movies. Just kind of critiquing things, making funny videos. Hilarious. Anyway, he did a video that was about Ninja's masterclass on becoming a great live streamer. So he paid the money to take the class, and then basically shared all the information with us, and how there's 1,000 things that he should have included in it, and he did not. Most of his advice really did come out down to like, hey, like, see, this stream did really well, and like, I was wearing a funny hat, so wear a funny hat. And like, once I dyed my hair blue, it was always just like people talking about like, oh, your blue hair. So like, that's a good idea, like having a crazy colored hair, like. And I mean, really, most of it was, he was really good at Fortnite. Like, he was a Fortnite star. But anyway, in the Drew Gooden part, where he was like saying, you know, well, here's the things that streamers actually need to know about how do I make alerts? How do I interact with the community? How do I set up any of these things? You know, he's like, a lot of people don't know about like panels or whatever. Like, you should have panels on your Twitch page with all of your links to all your pertinent stuff. And he doesn't mention any of that stuff, like basically the most basic forms of marketing. He pretty much almost immediately drifts into like, hey, like if you could do like a big stunt, like, you know, I was on the Ellen show or I was on the Masked Singer, so, you know, just do that, and that'll, you know, make you, you know, like, no, you were already a huge deal before that. So anyway, when he mentioned panels, of like, you gotta learn what panels are and get some nice panels, like these panels over here. And he showed a screen of two different people. One of them was Nick A30's panels. that I drew. And I'm like, oh my god. Like, hey, look at me. I'm Leonardo DiCaprio pointing at the TV over here. I'm one of those memes. I'm pointing. Like one of those pointing guys. You see this over here? But like, but the guy that you did the initial work for, he's already like a famous streamer. You've literally run into people in the street that were like, oh my god, I know who that guy is. Or they bring him up first. So that you should already be impressed by that, but you're just like, oh, but then it was on a YouTube video? Yes. I mean, yes. Like, you know, doing stuff for fancy people is fancy and amazing. But sometimes, you know, when you see something that you've done, or you do something for somebody that, you know, already speaks to you in terms of like, oh, I'm a fan of this person or thing. And now something I did is appearing on their channel as also an example of here's what to do, and it's something that I did. So, you know, always try to find those things that make you feel valid in the world. And that was one of those things. And I've been too busy talking and or thinking about what I should talk about. Think of some dumb non sequitur-y nonsense for the monster to say. I mean, he should probably just be saying, I'm jealous of you. I wish my ice cream was as good as your ice cream, even though they're probably the same. But because you're holding it, yours looks better because I'm just a monster and you're the coolest cats and kittens that, what's her face, that murderer ever did see. Carol Baskins? Carol Baskins? Baskins. Yeah, no, that's stupid. I don't know. I just don't know. I don't know if I've ever had Baskin Robbins ice cream. I think I had cake there once. Never had any of the ice cream, I don't think. Carol Baskin Robin. Carol Baskin Robin. She's different up scoops of revenge, murdering all of her husbands, keeping Joe in jail, got all his tigers in tail. What is the name? What is the name of that font? Imaginary. There we go. Imaginary friend. Are we supposed to just sit here and watch you think? Is that what we're doing? We're just gonna watch you think of words and then possibly write them down? I mean, you're literally just like swaying back and forth, listening to the beats and just thinking. We can't hear your thoughts, so I mean, maybe say them out loud. Maybe, you know, do this like a Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, or just say what you're thinking. Anything? Hello? Don't make me say Bueller, because that is just, it's too hackneyed, and I refuse to say Bueller repeatedly. But, excuse me? Excuse me? Excuse me? Hey, I said excuse me. Is that nonsensical enough? Miles approved. You want to share ice creams? I'm not allowed to share. But I do it anyway because I'm dangerous and cool. Of course, I picture it in a voice that I probably can't do, that I definitely can't do. You want to share ice creams? I'm not allowed to share. But I do it anyway because I'm dangerous and cool. That's just a higher version of that last voice. I know, because I can still feel the graveliness. At the same graveliness degree. I want to move it all. Yeah, well, I'll figure out how it's boxed when I actually reformat everything to turn it into book form. Anyway, that's the joke, because it's not that... I mean, now it is dangerous and not cool to share ice creams, but it's still just such a very silly thing. And also coming from this weird giant monster, which is like, why are you even talking to a giant monster? And if you are, this is the thing that you're talking about? Not about, how do I survive this situation? But he's not gonna lick my ice cream though, right? Like, I mean, I get it that that's like a little cartoon, but seriously. Like, seriously, I need to sleep tonight, and if I'm going to sleep tonight, I need to know that this guy isn't going to show up and want licks from my ice cream. Or is he going to what? He's going to do that thing where you smush your ice cream into my ice cream, and then it's like, oh, now it's a mixed flavor? No, I've already decided. I've taken careful thought into deciding what flavor of ice cream that I was going to eat that day. And if I'm lucky, I'll get a second ice cream, to satisfy whatever other flavor that I was craving that day. But most importantly, I don't need some sort of monster tug. That goes for any tug. All of your tugs are all monster tugs to me. I see a little silhouette of a man, Scaramouche. He better not lick my ice cream. Thunderbolts and lightning, I will be throwing them around in a hail of just rage. Lightning like rage. Is that what we want? Because I don't think that's what we want. No, I mean, of course that's not what we want, and yeah, it's just a drawing. But I don't know. Perhaps when it becomes more of a book, then there'll be another 4 pages about you complaining about this page and worrying that this might come to life because, this thing is very similar to the Upworld meta pages of the comics, wherein the making of the comic takes place inside of itself. Again, it's always meta nonsense. But yeah. How long has this been? 7, 8, almost 2 hours? That's more than long enough to do anything. Or have I gotta come up with a bunch of fake logos? Both can't wait to do that, and mildly nerve-wracked because I gotta come up with a bunch of fake ideas. That's the funnest thing. Yay! I don't have any fake ideas. Can I be one of the fake ideas? Because I think I should probably be one of the fake ideas. Also something with dinosaurs. I mean, that's what I always go to. I already put you up there as one of the fake ideas, so you might end up being one of the real ideas. But odds are you won't, and it will just be things completely outside of my normal. Either way, this is unimportant information. Just prolonging the saying of goodbye at the end of the stream, because I never know how to do it. And once again, you just have to, just like the Band-Aids, of course, I know how you take off Band-Aids, it takes you forever. Oh, let me just gently soak it in water first, and then slowly peel it, and then wait, and if it's not ready, oh, let's just wait a little bit longer, and then slowly peel it a little bit more, and it just makes everything worse. So, you know, like a Band-Aid for normal people. How about that, where you're just like, hey, avocado shakes and Foxy, Drake and Miles too. And of course there was, the name that I forgot, not Kujin, but the other one. Anyway, he's probably already gone. But, can't scroll up back that far. Keep scrolling. Nope. His name is lost to the ages unless he pops back up again. But anyway, that's enough out of me. That is absolutely enough out of you. Anyway, thanks to everybody for hanging out for another week. Of course, I was going to say, as always, I've only said it like once before, but obviously, I should go check out, I'm going to pronounce it Nasus Miniatures this time. And like I said, there's always amazing stuff. Always amazing stuff. Those pies, I still can't get over how delicious those new pies looked. And the smaller pies, but it's just like, that's not food. That's not food. But somewhere in my head, I'm just like, did you just make tiny pies? Because they just look like delicious tiny pies. Yeah, follow that Instagram. And of course, she shows you how to do this stuff on YouTube, whereas I show you how to do nothing. So that's my endorsement for the week. And of course, Shang-Chi. If you've got Disney Plus, then why not? It's fantastic. So fantastic. And just so fun. Just so fun. Eternals? If I make it through, I'll tell you what I liked about it eventually. But I just don't know. I just don't know if I'll go back to it. I'm sure Kumail's in it more, and it's funny. Because the Superman character, I really don't care for so far. Anyway, that's me undigressing, tangenting off again. But yeah, anyway, talk to you guys next week, or some week after that. I don't know. There's always work stuff to do. And maybe I'll move the Nintendo back in here one of these days and play some more games. Oh, for the love of fun. Yep, I'm sick of myself too, and my own voice. Ripley, play the credits, and let's get out of here. Have a good night, everybody, and a good day, and a good week. Oh my god, it's only Tuesday. Wow. Oh, I know I say that every Tuesday, but... Ooh. Feels like a good Thursday. Good Thursday. Couple more days till the weekend. We're just started and feeling weekend. I hit stop on you, music. Why? Meow.